Every great golf swing is built around control, not just of your hands or the club, but of the four corners that drive everything, your shoulders and your hips. In this video, I'm going to show you how these four key points stay connected, move in sequence and create effortless power and precision. Master this and your swing will finally feel solid from start to finish. Today I want to talk about the four corners. Yes, the four corners, something maybe you haven't heard of before. The four corners are the lead shoulder, the trail shoulder, the lead hip, and the trail hip, and how they interact each other during the golf swing. This was brought on by a lesson I gave young Christos, my 16-year-old protege playing off of +0.5. So yesterday, Christos had a posture that was a little top heavy. And when I mean top heavy, his balance points were too far forwards of his center line. So you can see my center line here, and the gap between the top of my spine and the base of my spine is out of balance. And so what this does, just from a pure dynamics perspective, it would make you stand up to readdress that balance. And if you didn't do that, you would soon be falling over. Something that you may recognize when you're out on the golf course. So what we did was we changed Christos's balance. And you can see the difference between Christos before and after. Before and after. Now, the reality is that he will start to feel immediately more flat-footed. Because all of a sudden, from being so on the toes of your feet to feeling like it's way more in the heels of the feet, it will immediately start to pull you in a much different orientation down through strike. So that was what we did first of all. Now, the implications of being off balance is that when you come through strike, if you make the track of the grip correct, and the track of the grip, if you've seen these videos over here, is all about making the grip move back underneath the golfer and around to the left. Now, when the track of that lead hand starts to move back underneath the golfer and pulls back inside, if you are off balance to start with, as the energy of this golf club moves inside and I get myself into more side bend, if I'm off balance at the start, I'll either fall on my nose or I'll back up and out of the shot, like so. So what I'll end up doing is making my left shoulder much further away from my lead hip, and my trail shoulder will become much closer to my trail hip. Now, in many quarters, if you've watched enough online golf coaching content, many people will inspire you to side bend your spine, tuck your elbow and bow your wrists. I say, utter garbage. So when you start to recognize that we actually want these shoulders as much as we possibly can, and I say as much as possibly can, because ultimately you're going to have to be incredibly strong to oppose the weight and force this club head has on you when it's swinging at 80, 90, 100, 110 miles an hour. So whilst you may be trying to oppose it, you might not fully achieve it, but you certainly stem the tide. So the four corners are about, first of all, getting ourselves more in balance, and through strike, as much as we can, trying to keep the left shoulder, right shoulder, the left hip and the right hip as balanced in proportion, the gaps that you see between left hip, right shoulder, as much as we possibly can, so that we can start to deliver this grip more underneath the golfer. So when the left hand is down underneath the shoulder, and the right hand is propping the club up, as we rotate through here, can you see that my left shoulder, left hip, I may have said that wrong just a moment ago, my left hip and my left shoulder, the gap is the same as my right hip and my right shoulder. What this does is gives the club face the opportunity to line up. The minute I start to side bend and I tuck and I lift my shoulder, can you see how the grip gets lifted, pushed out to the right, and the face is opened? Now, you may have been encouraged to do that. Please stop doing it immediately. So getting these four corners to behave and talk to each other as we move around the golf ball is crucial. And I've got a cracking drill for you. I've got a great drill here that is going to give you the opportunity to make these four corners talk to each other. Now, golf swings are seen in a backswing, your right side turning back, and then in a through swing, your left side turning through for the right-handed golfer. Trail side going back, lead side going back. As opposed to, we can also think about the backswing as the left side coming forwards, not just the trail side coming backwards. So if I think about my lead side coming forwards and my trail side moving backwards, as I then start to move through, my lead side moving backwards causes my right side to move forwards. Now all of a sudden, as I pull this band across my belt line and push it down to the floor, I pull my shoulder girdle down onto my rib cage and I allow myself to rotate. Then what I want you to do, and this is a bit weird, I want you to walk backwards. And as you walk backwards, I want you to make your shoulders and your hips feel like they move on the same level. What this is giving you a sensation of is shoulders and hips moving on the same pitch. This is how we want to move through a golf swing. Unfortunately, when the grip and the head of the golf clubs gets heavier and heavier, when the club starts to come into strike, because of the weight of the head and the direction the club is being pulled in, can you see how that grip, because it's very light and because it's got so much energy and because it's like you can push, thrust and drive the grip wherever you want, the head will react, the shoulder will react, and the trail shoulder will react, and all of a sudden you'll be absolutely knackered. The grip will be up and the face will be open. Whereas when you're thinking about the feeling of that TheraBand pushed down and moving around, as I start to feel this grip moving around, can you see how that club head starts to line itself back up, as opposed to driving up and out to the right? So this lead shoulder, trail shoulder, feeling like that they level off, which you won't actually be able to achieve fully, but it's an absolutely perfect agenda for you to go for, is making the grip track more in and line the face up. If you want to find out a bit more of that, there's a couple of videos there to watch after this one. So after getting the band out, pulling it across your belt line, pushing out and down, and feeling a few movements where you're feeling the band pushed down and across you, once you've done this a few times, get the golf club out and just make some very small little swings where you're feeling the shoulders sat down, lift the club up in the air so that you feel the pad of the grip take the strain and the right hand take the strain. And just think about the pressure that that TheraBand puts on your shoulders. And now you start to see how I'm trying to work my shoulders on more of a horizontal plane rather than such an inverted side bend, tucked and kicked pitch. When you've got golfers swinging the club at 120, 130 and 140 miles an hour on the PGA and DP World Tours, and then all of a sudden we get lunatics going out and taking their dynamics and their averages of their movements, and then we think that that's the way they should move, or we should encourage people to move. It's absolute nonsense, absolute garbage. These guys are swinging so fast, the forces on them will keep ramping up as they move faster and faster. And while they're trying to offset these forces, the reality is the images that we see are with side bend, are with flattening wrists. They're not trying to encourage that. That is just a consequence of the speed, the energy, and the force. Doesn't mean to say that you at 80 miles an hour should then start bowing your wrists. And side bending, crap. So therefore, we now feel how the pressure in the grip can now start to sit down. Look how it brings my left shoulder down, brings my right shoulder up, and it now moves me around the golf ball. I have that exact same feeling, and it will make my arms feel like they stay underneath me. the more they stay underneath me, the more I can keep the shape in that wrist, which will change that face to path value and take it from being 9 open to much, much squarer. As I demonstrate and I do all these funky moves, you can see it has an effect on me. So I make this grip feel like it sits down underneath the shoulder. The right shoulder sits higher, which is the feeling I get from that TheraBand drill. I move around the golf ball and I keep the shape of this wrist. I move around that golf ball and I keep the shape of that wrist, which gives me the opportunity to really sense how I can line the path up, hit down and get the face to path closed. So all of a sudden, there is absolutely no side bend kicking up with the grip and opening the face. It makes me feel like that my posture can now facilitate a grip track. Going back to Christos's lesson, it gives me the opportunity to move the grip inside. And because I'm so deep into my glute line, it enables this grip track that moves around me to facilitate good shape with my spine. That is not being encouraged to side bend like a lunatic. Absolute nonsense. It drives me wild. So making this left shoulder, left shoulder low, right shoulder high, use the left leg, pushes it back, moves it around. It's a great little drill to cradle it with your right hand. And as you do that, you can see path keeps going straight, face to path keeps on being on the negative side. Now, if you want to hit a fade, you just increase the shape in your wrist and you bleed the ball out to the right. You can find out more about that in this video up here. I just changed the shape in my wrist. Look how the path went left and look how the face was open to the path. I do less of that. I make the line up of the face to path and the path line, and all of a sudden it goes straighter. So all I'm doing is I'm subtly feeling the shape of the wrist. It always stays kinked. Sometimes I back off of it a little bit. Again, watch that video because that will give you insights into hitting fades and draws the way I talk about moving the golf club. But hopefully this drill where you're pushing the TheraBand down off of your shoulders, that's going to make the four corners, 2 shoulders, 2 hips, line itself up, balance themselves out so that when you start to move through the shot, you really start to feel how neutral you can be and start hitting golf shots at your target. Thank you so much for watching. Any thoughts on any of that, drop a comment in the box below. I reply to all of your comments. And
are you tired of paying too much for your premium leather golf gloves? Head over to gxgolfgloves.com. These are gloves tried and trusted by elite amateurs and tour players alike. Enter my code GOODCOACHING to receive 10% off your next order. Go try them out. You won't be disappointed.
hopefully, that, my friends, you believe is good coaching.